This is the day the Lord hath made, let us rejoice. Sunday morning, here we are, coming together from near and far. We're unity, and that's the way it should be. I've got family waiting for me every Sunday. I'm glad to see we're unity, and that's the way it should be. My, we're so happy it's Sunday. This is our area unity day. We are here where we belong with all of our family. We're unity, and that's the way it should be. Well, we got some people clapping, but we could use some more. The sun is shining and I am too. I feel so happy. How about you? We're unity. That's the way it should be. We're so grateful that love abounds. Our brothers and sisters all around. We're unity. That's the way it should be. My, we're so happy it's Sunday. This is our real unity day. We're here where we belong with all of our family. We're unity, and that's the way it should be. Oh yeah. We're unity, and that's the way it should be. Oh, nice job.
Good morning. A small but a fine crowd this morning. Hey, women. Hey, all people. We're so happy it's Sunday, but apparently a few people have decided to maybe stay in bed this morning, or wherever you might be. I hope you're having a great time. We're grateful, those of us that are here, that we are here. And hello to everyone on Zoom and anyone watching this later on our YouTube channel. So before I welcome you home, well, I've already welcomed you home, I guess. Nancy Youngson is going to come up with some important information. So listen up.
Hello, and good morning. As most of you know, tomorrow is September 30th, is the Truth and Reconciliation Day, where we honor the memories of the missing and murdered Indigenous children that across Canada. And we acknowledge, and this is a land acknowledgement that many unities do, but for sure this Sunday, we acknowledge that we are on the traditional territories of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Huron-Wendat, the Lenape, Treaty 6, London Township Treaty, and Upper Canada Treaties. Many of us have neighbors. The London Acknowledgement puts in the tribes that are local, the Chippewas of the Thames, the Delaware, Munsee, and just the Huron Tract. But the thing is, we have neighbors that are also affected, and they're not from there, so my next door neighbors are two of them, very active. And she's from Cape Croker, and she married a guy from Munsee. But it is just wonderful that we have this time. It's Orange Shirt Day, Pauline and Larry, and but tomorrow is the official Orange Shirt Day. So I just thought we would honor that memory.
Thank you, Nancy. And I'm glad she didn't give me the piece of paper to read, because I think I might have messed up some of those names. Did you practice all week? Haudenosaunee. Cell phones, if you happen to have your cell phone with you, we would greatly appreciate if you would turn it off, turn it down. Make sure there's no notifications going off while we're having a wonderful service. And our wonderful speaker is on her way. We see her arriving momentarily with ease and grace. She just came? See, look at how fast it happens. Ask and you shall receive. Okay, so going back to our welcome home slide. So why do we come here every Sunday? Well, I think we come here for the love and the joy and the kindness that we all share. The growth that we experience through our curiosity. We know that each person that arrives and walks through the doors arrives expressing as the best self that they can. And Barb has no boot. Yay, Barb! Barb's coming in with two shoes on, not two pairs, but two shoes, not a shoe and a boot. Yay! And see, when we connect, how well you transform. No, you can't. But together with our connections and our transformation, we all believe that we are evolving peace around the world today, especially within each and every one of us. And unity is known as a positive path to spiritual living. So we have our 5 basic principles, and let's affirm these together. Principle number 1, God is all good and active in everything, everywhere. 2, I am naturally good because God's divinity is in me and in everyone. 3, I create my experiences by what I choose to think and what I feel and believe. And 4, through affirmative prayer and meditation, I connect with God and bring out the good in my life. And number 5, with zeal, I do and give my best, living the truth I know. I make a difference, and we do. And we invite you to be the change by inspiring people to make a positive difference in the world, and you do that by the example that you set. And we know that we can all coexist, and by providing fellowship and education for spiritual seekers of all walks of life, we welcome people from different walks of life to come and join us and coexist with us and help create that peace. And prayer with a prayer chaplain today. Today, Dawn is our prayer chaplain in the building. I know she's there. She is back at the, about 2/3 of the way back. But Dawn will be waiting by the orange steps, waiting for, no, are you waiting in here? You'll go up there? Wonderful. See, Dawn's feeling much better as well. Yay for the healing. So Dawn will be by the orange steps waiting to pray with you. And online we have wonderful Wilda always waiting to pray with anyone that's online that would like individual one-on-one prayer. And now we're going to have another song by Jim Chapman. Yay!
Yes, that's me, man. Yes, that's me.
That's you.
I was watching the news on Thursday, which was a big mistake. I don't do that very often. Because if we listen to the news, they would have us believe that the world is worse than it's ever been. And in fact, as a lifelong student of history, I can tell you that we're actually not doing too badly. The difference is we hear about everything bad these days. This is actually one of the safer times in human history to be alive. So I thank you for that, and we appreciate that. But as I watched the news, I thought how many of these problems out there, not just big problems, but little problems, interpersonal problems and so on, we see this person's been arrested for this, and that person's been arrested for that, and this country's fighting that country. And I thought, this song just came to me. I said, this is the song we need to hear on Sunday. Unity, where unity is important to us. Think of your fellow man, lend him a helping hand, put a little love in your heart. You see it's getting late, oh please don't hesitate, put a little love in your heart. The world will be a better place, yes the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. Another day goes by and see the children cry. Put a little love in your heart. Want the world to know we won't let hatred grow. Put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. Just wait, wait and see. Oh, put a little love in your heart. Everybody, let's do it. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart. Take a good look around, and if you're feeling down, put a little love in your heart. Hoping you decide kindness will be your guide. Put a little love in your heart, 'cause the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. Just wait, wait to see if you put a little love in your heart. Love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart. Where's your wisdom, my friend?
Very wise words, Jim. I think that was a great choice for a song, because it is something that's, oh, no. Thank you. So, as most of us know, Unity Worldwide was founded many years ago on affirmative prayer. So we have our prayer box at the front of the room. If anyone would like to get a piece of paper from behind the box, put someone's name on there, put a number of names on there, put them in the prayer box, and those people will receive prayer for at least 30 days here, and then also an additional 30 days down at Silent Unity. And always remember that you can call 1-800-NOW-PRAY anytime you feel that the need for some prayer, or please share that number with other people to let them know that they too can call at any time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and receive some prayer. And so now we will go into prayer. So I invite you to close your eyes if you're comfortable doing so. Become comfortable in your seat. And as you take a nice deep breath, breathe in all the love that's in the room. Breathe in all the good that life has to offer us. And as you exhale, let go of what no longer serves you. Feel your shoulders relax. And just be comfortable being here with each of us, heart to heart, truly connecting with Spirit. In this month, we hold in prayer Unity Ministry in Motion and unity.org. We hold our Unity of London community in prayer, in particular those that may be hurting in some way, such as Paula. We see Paula recovering from her hip surgery with ease and grace. We see her smiling face because she feels our love and we feel hers. And because of tomorrow and all of what's going on around the world, we hold all of those that have been abused, misused, lost in some way, shape, or form. And we appreciate them for the persona that they chose to come to this earth, to teach a lesson for us to learn. For many of us believe that before we arrive, we have made agreements with each other, so that as we go through life, it's the challenges that we learn most from. We see hearts being healed. We see leaders being loving, not greedy. We see children being hugged and fed and clothed, played with. We can hear them giggling. And we know when we move on, we are still here and we will be back. And because within everything is the life force that some of us call God, some of us call spirit, that love that flows through each and every one of us is us. And we are always here and never gone and always love. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen. And now Nancy will come back up again, read today's daily word, and introduce our wonderful speaker.
Comforted. I am comforted by the divine presence within. I am grateful for the people who have understood how to comfort me when I was feeling down. They listened when I needed to talk and blessed me with their kindness. Often, they didn't need to say a word or do anything more than be with me for a while. Their understanding presence is what I really needed. Even if I am without the comforting presence of another, I can find comfort in the divine presence within me. As I open my heart to God, I feel understood, loved, and accepted completely, just as I am. I need not feel self-conscious about needing comfort or how do I express my feelings. I need only to feel the unconditional love of God. As my trust in the divine presence grows, my sadness diminishes. Healing peace flows through my entire being as I am comforted. And from Isaiah chapter 66, verse 13, as a mother comforts her child, so I will comfort you. You shall be comforted in Jerusalem. Today, Wendy is back. Yay. Wendy joined Unity Movement in 1984 and received her licensed Unity teacher status in 2000. Best known for teaching history of Unity and Bible courses across Canada, she also serves on teams at the national and international levels. She is honored to be back. She looks like she's smiling there, eh? That's great. And so we, with her talk today, Forgiveness, Part 1, let's welcome Wendy Karr.
All right. Thank you. Okay, did everyone get a rock, a stone as they came in? Okay, if you didn't, there's more in the back. Can we, thank you, thank you, thank you. So, forgiveness. I forgive myself for not listening to the little voice that said, they note that there is going to be traffic delays ahead because of construction. Maybe you want to get off at Veterans Memorial Parkway instead of Highbury. I forgive myself for things I said as the 3 lanes of traffic, including semis, squished down to 1 lane, which then proceeded along the left shoulder. I forgive myself for the anxiety I felt as it took me 20 minutes to go from one off-ramp to the next. And I offer my apology and ask your forgiveness to those of you who were stressing or feeling anxious that I wasn't coming because I was so late. So all is well, and so it is. So forgiving. If you haven't read this book, see if your library has it. Highly, highly, highly recommend it. You're going to get the Cole's Notes of the Reader's Digest because this really is a 10-week series. I was introduced to it. I was doing a talk for Unity Kitchener on restorative justice. And this book kept coming up. And I said, okay, if the book keeps coming up, it's obviously something I need to read. And as you can tell, I've used it a bit because I got my bookmarks still in it. And I don't know about the rest of all y'all, but do any of these things sound familiar to you? I have to say, I forgive someone to be a good person. I have to say, I forgive you not because I believe in it, but because it makes the situation tolerable. I have been in situations where I felt that forgiveness was used as a weapon to extract and exact a desired behavior from me. So, as you probably know, and as I came in, I heard Nancy talking about, I did remember my orange shirt today. I will be wearing orange again next month when I come back to do part 2, because next month is Zeal, which is also orange. So, no, I'm not going to be like hiding someplace and not changing my clothes. But what I found interesting, because I was kind of I actually had a different topic in mind. And I kept coming back to this book, and I thought, well, it's the day before National Truth and Reconciliation Day. And this is based on the Reverend's Tutu, Bishop Tutu and his daughter, also a Reverend, and their journey through South Africa's Truth and Reconciliation. I will give a disclaimer. This is a hard book to read. There are aspects of what happened in South Africa that were really hard to read. That said, I have done a lot of reading about the residential schools, and those are hard to read. Different types of hardness, but underlying the same stuff. I don't even have a word for it. I don't have a word for that inhumanity towards your fellow person. So what I love about this book is that it is tactile. That's why you have a stone. And please bring it back with you next time on the 20th when I come back, because we'll be using our stone. I am not a good journal person. I really resist journaling. And so I appreciate that in this book, there are not only journaling exercises, but it's journaling about what happened with your stone. So you have an exercise with the stone, and then you go journal about it. I can do that. Don't ask me to journal my feelings. Anytime if I go back, and I do own a journal. I do. I really do. But when I go back, it's from the first time my husband was in hospital and we didn't think he was going to make it. It's from that period. And then it's quiet until there's another crisis, and then I journal. I just cannot get into the habit of journaling every day. And people have told me how good it is for me and how it would improve my life, to which I say, well, if it's coming out of a time of resistance and I don't feel I can do it and I feel that I have to do it, it's not going to be particularly effective. I'm much more a tactile person. I'm much more, even in the cold days, kick my shoes off and walk through the grass while it's still there. So I just want to put that out there, that not all LUTs and ministers do journaling and things like that. All right. So one of the things that they introduce early on in the book is the idea of the revenge cycle. And as I show this to you, I'm hoping I'll see some noddings and maybe hear some, yeah, yeah. Because they point out. So we start with hurt, harm, or loss. Those icky things we don't want to talk about, right? Those things that Unity folks are really good at swiping under the carpet or putting in way back in our memories and stuffing it down. I'm fine, I'm fine. As the joke goes, how do you know that a Unity person is in hell? Not really here, not really hot, not really here, not really hot. I don't believe in hell, but that joke helps me heal some of the stuff from my church of origin. So we have what happens out of hurt, harm, and loss is pain, right? And that can be different kinds of pain. The pain of losing your spouse is a lot different than your spouse betraying you in some way or other. There are similarities. We can both discuss the pain, but the actual elements of it are a little different. Now, we have a choice. We can choose to heal, or we can choose to harm. So what we do in choosing to harm, we'll talk about choosing to heal in a second. We're going to reject the shared humanity. That's when we get into otherism. And Jim was talking about listening to the news. I made the mistake of flipping the news on my way here. I forgive myself for that because the languaging was very much othering, us and them. And then we get into revenge, retaliation, payback. I got thinking about that, about how I had been involved with that, how I had been the victim of that. I don't like that V word. I do not like considering myself a victim. And yet, when I step back and look, it's like, yeah, you bought into that belief about yourself. And then often we get into violence and cruelty. Now, cruelty can be languaging. It can be, I laugh only because I was trying to think of one that wasn't hopefully too triggering to people. And all I could think of was my aunt, who upon finding out that my uncle voted for Trump in 2020, when he ought to have known better, in her words, the only words she spoke to him for 3 days was, "Here's your dinner." Well, he got the message. He got the message. But that was her way of responding to his actions, to the pain that she was feeling, the betrayal she was feeling. The problem is, though, that just creates more hurt, harm, and loss. And so we go around the circle again and again. Is this resonating with anybody? Okay, I'm seeing some heads. Okay, I'm not the only one that this is. Okay, good. So, if you notice sort of to the right, it says choosing to heal. Well, let's see where that takes us. And that's what this book is all about, is the fourfold path. Get my tongue around that one. So the first step is choosing to heal. Your first active step is to tell the story. And I'm going to go into detail about all of these steps, so I just want to give you an overview first. Naming the hurt. Sometimes that can be hard. You know that it's hurting, you know that it's bothering you, you know your stomach's in knots, but you just don't have the language for it. Granting forgiveness, recognizing our shared humanity, and then deciding whether to renew or release the friendship or the relationship. And then continuing. And let me just go back for a second. Notice we're not going back into the circle. We're moving out of the circle. We're moving forward into something else. So why forgive? It's painful. It can be embarrassing to have to say, you know what? I fluffed up. I really should have taken that other exit and made it such a calmer day for myself. And it's beneficial to our health, our physical health, to forgive. Forgiveness offers freedom from the past, from a predator, from future victimizations, because it helps us look at the big picture and see what happened. What is my responsibility out of this? What can I do differently going forward? Forgiveness heals families and communities. We forgive so we don't suffer physically or mentally, and I will add spiritually, the corrosive effects of holding on to anger and resentment. I had a family member who had a nervous twitch, and it was because all her life she had been taught that real ladies don't express anger. And so that turned on herself I could tell if I was doing something I shouldn't do because she'd start twitching. Because she wanted to be angry with me, but everything in her training and her life experience had taught her that that was unacceptable behavior and that she needed to swallow it rather than express it. We are all interconnected and have a shared humanity. Forgiveness is a gift we give ourselves. The key is when you are ready, not when society says you're ready, not when your family says you're ready, not when your boss says you should be ready. It is when you are ready. When that voice within you, with that inner knowing within you says, okay, what's my next step? I am finished with this. So this is also known as convincing myself to make time for this, to engage in it honestly, and to ignore anything which would keep me from completing the path. So, carrying the stone will be our first step. So, take your stone in your hand, if you haven't already. I actually carried mine in my pocket on the way over, because I didn't think that having a stone in my hand on the steering wheel would be a good choice. It's small enough, I probably could, but you know, you don't want to get the police pulling you over for that. It's a high fine and demerits if you're caught, you know, not using hands-free devices, having something in your hand. I just want you to look over your stone. Is there anything that called you to this stone? Is there a color in it, or is it the shape, or did you just reach in and grab one and one kind of leapt into your hand? I did that the other day. I had a friend visiting from out west, and she said to me after we'd had lunch, she said, I brought fold-up reusable bags that you can keep in your purse, and I want you to be the first one to choose. And I closed my eyes and I put my hand in the bag. And she said, oh, you're doing it the spiritual way, aren't you? And I pulled out, beautiful, had roses on the little carrier that it folded into. And I unfolded it because I wanted to see what it looked like. And it was roses with butterflies on it. Well, not 3 days before, I had been at a gardens taking pictures of roses with butterflies on them. I often find I have to say to myself, what is here that I might not be paying attention to, but is calling me into a place? So, as you can see, we have some steps. So one morning between now and when I come back on the 20th of next month, I want you to spend the morning carrying this in your non-dominant hand. I can think of a few things I'm going to find this difficult to do because I'm right-handed, but I mouse with my left. So I'm either going to have to reteach myself how to mouse with my right and reset my mouse so that it's a right-handed mouse, or I'm going to have to figure out how to palm this so that I can do what I need with the mouse. But don't set it down for any reason. To which I say, for myself, if I have had to put it down, then I do a reset. And I start again the next day. And then after 6 hours, 6 hours. That covers a lot of ground, doesn't it? Do the journal exercise. And I can make these slides available if you don't have. What did you notice about carrying the stone? As I'm talking up here, I'm realizing that I'm less aware of it. Because that was one thing I taught myself how to do as a kid. I wanted to do magic. I wanted to be a magician at one point. So, I learned how to carry things. When did you notice it the most? Oh, I'm sure I'm going to be noticing it as I'm trying to mouse, or I'm trying to open a jar that's stubborn and I need both hands to do it. Did it hinder any of your activities? Was it ever useful? In what ways was carrying the stone like carrying an unforgiven hurt? And then make two lists, one of people who you need to forgive and one who you feel need to forgive you. Let's talk about what forgiveness is not, though, before we get too far in. Forgiveness is not easy. It requires, or I would like to say it can require, hard work and a consistent willingness. Because there have been times where I have been practically on my knees, if not full out, doing a face down, face plant, saying, I give up, I don't know what else to do but forgive. Forgiveness is not weakness. It requires courage and strength. That one, the first time I read it in the book, oh man, that triggered me. Oh boy, that really triggered me. Because in my church of origin, and to some extent in my family of origin, it was a badge of honor how much victimhood you could carry. Forgiveness does not subvert justice. It creates space for justice to be enacted with a purity of purpose that does not include revenge. And the stories in this book, spoiler alert, trigger alert. One of the stories describes a murder of someone who was well loved by the Tutus and their personal journey to forgive the murderer. I haven't had to forgive something that big. And some of the things that I have needed to forgive have felt so heavy I didn't know how to carry them. But I knew that I had enough spiritual understanding that I wouldn't seek out revenge. I wasn't going to seek out the person and beat the pulp out of them. I also came to realize through this book, and I had already learned a bit of it, but this kind of solidified it for me, that revenge is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It's not going to work. The only person I was harming was myself by continuing to carry that burden. Forgiveness is not forgetting. It requires a fearless remembering of the hurt in your heart. And that's the interesting thing, and I don't know that I can explain it. But I left my job with the government because of a betrayal by a coworker. I don't want to get into the details, they don't matter. I've done my work around that, to the point that were I to meet up with her again, I could reach out and say, hey, how you doing? You're looking good. How's the family? Thank you for getting me out of that job. I didn't realize how unhappy I was in it until after I went through the process that I went through, and then the process of forgiveness that I did after that. Now, when I left that job, I was furious. You wouldn't have recognized me. I was seething because I felt betrayed. I felt my life had been ruined by someone else's actions, and I felt like I had no way out, humanly. And now, the energy isn't, there's still a little bit residual, but compared to what I was like when I left, my late husband actually said to me, you're not applying, I left the 1st of September, that was my first day of freedom. And he said, you are not going for another job until the 1st of January at the earliest, because you will not interview well right now. You are too angry. You are too hurt. You need to do some spiritual work. And since he was also a licensed Unity teacher, I had to listen to him, darn it. Finally, forgiveness is not quick. It can take several journeys through the cycles of remembering and grief before one can truly forgive and be free. And that last, these are actually bullet points from the book. That last point was the yes for me. Growing up, if I didn't feel better after saying I'm sorry, I had been told that was my fault. I didn't do it right. I was a failure at forgiveness. What a thing to teach a child. So I not only had the blame and shame and guilt and judgment around whatever it was I had done wrong, but I also had the additional level of, you don't know how to forgive now, do you? Well, aren't you just the best little Christian in the room? And I think something akin to that was actually said, maybe not to me, but to someone else. But that was the kind of church of origin I had. So none of you would be surprised, as I already alluded to discover I had, guess what, metaphysical dust bunnies. I had things that I was sure I had dealt with in that moment, a year or two later when something triggered it again, that when I was doing, we were doing our burning and, at a workshop or something, I had brought that thing back up, and yet there was still more. Because what I discovered about myself, I'm really good at stuffing down emotions that are uncomfortable or painful. I'm really good at it. I don't know if any of the rest of you are, but I will own for myself, I'm really good at it. And they get stuffed. And bam, bam, bam. And so as I release the top, that section under there that I really stuffed down hard, all of a sudden has air circulating around it. All of a sudden has energy to move. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, I can be sitting and suddenly something crosses my mind and I say, where on earth did that come from? No, it's not from Earth. I know where that's from. Okay, yeah, yep. So this is where we can use Unity's techniques of release, or formerly called denial. We're moving towards calling it release because denial is such a loaded word. And it doesn't mean the same thing it did 100 years ago. But release and affirmation. So, I forgive myself. I release the anger I have towards myself for not listening to the little voice that said, get off at the parkway. I will get over this. I just need to go be quiet for a little while. But I affirm that going forward, when I get that nudge, I will listen because that was divine wisdom telling me how to avoid taking 20 minutes to get from one exit to the next. And that's how simple it is. So let's talk about, and I'm not going to finish the whole story because it's a two-parter. So I'm going to try and leave you in a helpful space, not just where you are. So one of the things that the tutus talk about is tracing the myths. Becoming aware of underlying assumptions we have made or had pressed into us in education settings by our family of origin or by our church of origin, by societal norms and expectations. So, let's talk about what forgiveness is not. I know I've already talked about it once, but let's reinforce that because for me, being able to take that first step into a deeper forgiveness, I had to remind myself what it wasn't. Because I had been so ingrained in my church of origin. It's something I have noticed, and I'm sure that there's a medical or a psychological connection to this, and any primary teachers or early education teachers can confirm or deny this. The stuff that I learned as a small child sticks a lot stronger than what I learned as an adult. And therefore, it takes a bit more action to forgive those things. So what is it not? It's not weakness. It's not injustice. It's not forgetting. It's not easy necessarily. It can be. I don't want you to go in and say, oh, I don't want to do that. She said it's going to be hard. I just want full disclosure that it could be hard. It could be painful. And if you're willing to go through it, my experience has been that I am better for it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be quick. I got to tell you, the stuff that I have had put in my system from way back when, traumas I've gone through, those have taken many times going through to get to that point. So your thoughts for the next month, almost, is this stone ritual. So you take your stone after you've held it for the day and done your journaling, and you draw 4 circles on a piece of paper. So in the corners is, or not quite right in the corners, give yourself lots of white space or whatever color you're using. You draw your circles. And these are the steps we'll talk about in detail next time. What is holding you back? Telling the story. I have noticed that as I tell the story of why I left the government, the details have shifted. They're all still the same details. They're all true details. They're all reflections of what happened. And what is more important now is not what was important 7 years ago. Naming the hurt. Finding the vocabulary to express what hurts about that situation. One of the places that you can do, Google is wonderful. It can be a challenge. But at Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto, they have language lists, particularly around grief. And I found that to be really useful. It changes where it is on the website, so if you just search for it, that might help. But trying to find the words. I remember as a child trying to explain what was wrong with me, and just, it hurts. And that was, and where does it hurt? Well, it's kind of all over hurts. I didn't realize I was getting chicken pox. I hadn't gotten to the itchy part yet. I was in the stage where the disease was pushing through my skin, and it just, I was too young to know, to say, I think I'm coming down with something. I just knew my body hurt. Granting forgiveness. And then deciding to release or renew or release, either way. Is this something, is this my spouse? Is this someone who I care about enough that I want to go through the work needed to renew the relationship? Or like the person who was following her path and bumped into mine at work, I'm okay if I don't see her again. That's not to say that I haven't prayed for her, that I haven't prayed for her family, but I have no need to be physically in her presence again. If I do, great, but I'm not ready to make a special effort to do that. So your questions, on top of all the other ones, what's holding you back from forgiveness? Where are your resistances? I know myself well enough to know that the deeply buried stuff is going to hurt like heck as I pull it out. I think I would put it akin to a kidney stone, something that I've created within my body that needs to be expelled. And so next time we will we'll get into these 4 steps more deeply. But hang on to your rock, your stone, and spend some time with it. And as I say, I will make sure that you get copies of the what to do slides so that you can know what you need to do for homework. Have I ever given you guys homework before?
Never.
Well,
What's going on?
A good question. Question from the audience, what's going on? What's going on is this has blessed me, and I am inviting you to walk along the path with me and share in the blessing. So with that, let's just take a deep breath. And I'm going to transfer my stone so that it's between both my hands. Normally we say, you know, put everything aside, but I'm going to invite you to put your stone between your hands. And if you just want to cup it loosely, that's fine. You feel the need to put the energy between it, that's good too. And this is our affirmation as we go into meditation. As I forgive, I know the fullness of divine love. And let's just go into that space within. That place in our body where we know and feel the connection. The connection not only to our divinity, but to the oneness that we are a part of. Knowing that the stone in our hands is as much a divine object because it is made of energy, because it is made of the same ions and atoms and protons and electrons and quarks and whatever else is there. It's just manifested in a different way. And we recognize and appreciate that working through our forgiveness, not only of ourselves but of others, allows that energy that has become stagnant within us to open up, to be released, to be made available for something greater. Instead of being dormant, to be opened into expressions of divine love. And as we move through this time of forgiveness, this opportunity to forgive and to be forgiven, as we did earlier, we continue to hold in light and love all those who have been on the receiving end of untoward actions, of actions which were bereft of divine love. We set for ourselves an intention that as we forgive, as we are forgiven, we can add our divine love to the world, to the healing that is so called for. And just taking a deep breath, we rest in the thought of who we might put on those lists we discussed earlier. Those who we need to forgive, and those who need our forgiveness. And gently, without blame, shame, or judgment, we just bring to mind these faces, these voices, and we surround them in divine love, affirming our oneness. And if you feel comfortable doing so, acknowledge your willingness to take this path of forgiveness. If you're not ready yet, that's fine. No judgment. But if you do feel there's a niggly part of you that's ready, just quietly say, yes, I am ready. And as we forgive and as we release the divine love, we know that the energy of this divine love is going throughout the world, blessing, healing, prospering, and bringing the whole earth into wholeness. And so it is. Amen.
Wow. Got your stone? Thank you, Wendy. A very practical, but very important topic. And I was thinking it's a very appropriate at this time when soon the leaves will be falling from the trees and we go into a time of rest and restoring before we have renewal. Forgiveness is a perfect topic during fall. And you gave us some great practical tools to use in moving through our forgiveness. We appreciate you, and we're looking forward to part 2. And now I think, Jim, I think you're back up. Yep, whoops. I clicked too fast. Now they know what's coming next. Quick, click back. I can't get it to move. Go for it, Jim. Oh, we forgive you.
There we go.
Yay.
Well, I find in my life that when I have to deal with things like forgiveness and any of the many challenges that we have in our lives, and like all of us, I'm challenged by them too. I have a big issue about forgiveness right now that I'm working through. And I find that, particularly since I've started coming to Unity, which now is 7 or 8 years, I guess, something like that, that there's one thing that I can do, one place that I can turn for that little extra bit of strength and wisdom that makes it just that little bit easier to deal with the things we have to deal with. Oh, that's terrible. Sorry about this, folks. I'm sorry, I have to apologize. I'm a little late today, and I didn't get things done that I should, but this is I need your help today, too. Carlin is quite ill, and so if you have any extra prayers to share, I'd appreciate that very much. And oh, that's better already. The thing that makes it a little easier for me to deal with challenges in my life is the knowledge that I'm not alone. I have my Unity family, but I also have the human family, because as we teach and believe in unity, we are all interconnected. Spirit is in and of every one of us. It brings us together and holds us together. So when I'm facing challenges in my life, I often find myself turning to Spirit for guidance. Walk with me, Spirit. Talk with me, Spirit, and I'll tell you of the peace that you have brought into my life. When I am hurting, the time has come for certain, for healing arms around me in the sickness, toil, and strife. Walk with me and talk with me. Hear me from the heart. I hear your voice and I know how to make a brand new start. Walk with me, Spirit. Talk with me, Spirit. Remind me of the things I've learned along the rocky trail. Stories of sadness and of sickness chased by gladness, and the strength that you provide when I'm frightened and I'm frail. Oh, life's a rugged way. Spirit makes me strong. I've learned to seize the day and lift my voice in song. Spirit, talk with the Spirit of the healing that is waiting for us if we heed the call. We'll share the miracle story, the power, the glory, and the healing heart through love and prayer, and knowing we won't fall. Though life's a rugged way, Spirit makes us strong. So why not seize the day and lift our voice in song? Walk with the Spirit, walk with the Spirit, walk with the Spirit, walk with the Spirit. Spirit, tell me what I must do. Talk with your Spirit, show the way to make it through. Oh, with your Spirit, talk with your Spirit, raise my voice in song.
Thanks, Jim. Great song. And we see Carlin recovering with ease and grace, and her smiley face back here. And now we come to the time where we thank people for sharing their time and their talents. And of course, just as important is treasure. So the lovely ladies have the offering bags where you can either place your offering or place your hand over to bless the offering. And I learned recently about how the Catholic Church earns some money. I heard that a number of years ago, Colonel Sanders called the Pope. And he said to the Pope, he says, I want you to change the Lord's Prayer. I want you to change the word from bread to chicken. And the Pope says, oh, I don't know, that's the Lord's Prayer. He said, I'll give you $10 million. That's the Lord's Prayer. So he called back a month later and said, I'll give you $100 million. So the Pope called all the bishops together and he said, we've got some good news and some bad news. The good news is we got $100 million. The bad news is we lost the Wonder Bread account. So maybe we'll find a $100 million account for unity. But in the meantime, for now, let's bless the offering. Don't run away yet, Kate. Oh, I went too fast. Okay. Okay. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Thanks, ladies. And now our special announcements. Next week's breakfast. You don't have to get up and cook breakfast. Just get up and come here. So we have our breakfast and lottery draw, and I believe is there papers, Lorraine, for people to sign up? Go ahead.
Yes, I have sign up and tickets for the lottery. Also, 9:30 is the start time.
Okay, so start time's 9:30. That's start time to eat, correct?
Yes.
So if you are helping with preparing, you need to be here before 9:30, please. But there's a sign-up sheet if there's food you want to bring, you want to assist in cooking, and of course getting tickets for the $100 gift card draw. You can do all of that today and make next week go together with ease and grace. We have decided to have another dinner and dance. Yay! Who doesn't like eating and dancing? It's on Friday, November the 15th. Only $35 per person. And the theme is peace and love, what the world needs now. And there'll be food, fun, and a fundraiser. Get your hippie on. So we're going to have kind of a 60s theme where, you know, everything was groovy. And actually, this reminds me. So this morning, for some reason, the song In the Year 2525 popped into my head today. And Larry and I listened to it, and then I also listened to really closely to the lyrics. A very prolific song from 1969. And man, there were some people that were pretty aware in the 60s that so many people missed the point. Anyway, so it will be a good time. We'll have a great time. And every Wednesday night, you can have a great time right here at Unity of London from 8 to 9:30 by enjoying the great music that Jim arranges for us. Different musicians each week. It's only $10 at the door or by e-transfer to Jim Chapman at rogers.com. This Wednesday, Chet Reiser and John Bellatone and Sam Hornby and Ron Morin. So come on out on Wednesday night and have some great music and do maybe some dancing. And now our prayer for protection. So together we affirm that the light of God surrounds me. I am the light. The love of God enfolds me. I am the love. The power of God protects me. I am the power. And the presence of God watches over me. I am the presence. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well. Yea, God. And now we'll gather for our peace song. So as you go about your week, remember your stone, remember your journaling, and just let it all go. And we'll take a few moments, see if anybody online wants to say hi, see if anyone in the room would like to show their appreciation or ask Wendy a question. Anybody feel the call to talk?